Have you ever been reading something and just felt it? I mean, beyond what the words are saying, you get this feeling, this rhythm. It's almost like there's a hidden structure, a kind of architecture that's shaping how you experience the whole thing. Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
Okay, check this out. On the one hand, you have the war ended, the men came home. Super direct, right? It's stark. Fact, then fact. But now listen to this version. When the war ended, the men came home. It's the same information, but the feel is totally different, isn't it? It feels more connected, more complete.
So, what is going on there? How can a tiny little change in the way we connect ideas have such a huge impact on us as readers? Well, that is the big question, and we are going to unpack it right now.
The answer, it turns out, lies in what you could call the secret life of sentences. It's all about the choices writers make, not just in what they say, but in how they build the sentences that deliver those ideas.
Now, the fancy term for this is clause complexing. I know, it sounds a little academic, but don't worry. All it really means is the way we combine smaller ideas, or clauses, to build bigger ones. And here's the absolute key. This structure, this architecture, isn't just some neutral box for the words. It's one of the main things that creates the meaning in the first place.
To really get this, we need to look at the two fundamental blueprints writers work with. Think of them like two totally different ways of playing with Legos. You've got parataxis and you've got hypotaxis.
So first up is parataxis. The name literally comes from the Greek word for beside, and that's a perfect description. You just place clauses next to each other, like laying bricks side by side. One isn't more important than the other, they're presented as total equals.
And then you have the second blueprint, hypotaxis. This comes from the Greek for under. And here, instead of laying things side by side, you're stacking them. You have a main idea, and then you tuck other clauses underneath it to explain or add context. It's all about hierarchy.
So let's put these two head to head, because this is where it gets really interesting. Parataxis gives you a feeling of equality and immediacy. It's just recording events one after another. Hypactasis, on the other hand, creates a clear hierarchy. It's not just recording events, it's actively explaining the relationship between them. It invites us to interpret.
Okay, let's get our hands dirty and look at that first toolkit. How do writers use parataxis, this style of equality, to create really specific effects?
You know this one, right? The classic from Julius Caesar. He didn't say, after I arrived and looked around for a bit, I was then able to conquer. No way. He used what's called a syndeton, which is just parataxis with no connecting words at all. 3 powerful statements, just bam, bam, bam.
And what's the effect? By cutting out the connecting words, you get this super punchy staccato rhythm. It feels urgent, powerful, totally final. The structure is doing just as much work as the words themselves. It's an unstoppable force.
Now, what if we do the exact opposite? Let's look at the other major tool in this kit, polysyndeton. That just means many connectors. Here, we're not taking words out, we're deliberately repeating and over again.
And the feeling? It's completely different. Instead of speed and power, you get this overwhelming sense of accumulation. The endless repetition of and makes it feel like things are just piling on and on and on. It creates this relentless, almost epic feeling.
So that's parataxis, the style of equality. Now let's switch gears and explore its opposite, the style of hierarchy. How does hypotaxis use all that stacking and subordination to build logic, depth, and a sense that there's an interpreting mind at work?
Wow, just look at this sentence. It's a gorgeous little piece of architecture. The main point, he found himself unable to begin, is perfectly nested between a concession, although he had every intention, and a cause, because the sight of her. You get the whole psychological drama in one beautifully layered bot.
So you can really see what hypaxis brings to the table. It forges these explicit, logical links for the reader. It lets a writer clearly signal what's important, the foreground, and what's just context, the background. And maybe most importantly, it signals that there's a narrator here who's not just listing facts, but is actively making sense of the world for us.
All right, we have our 2 main blueprints. Now let's look at 2 master architectural styles that writers use to build incredible experiences for us, the readers.
First, we have the periodic sentence, and this one is all about building suspense. It starts off with all these dependent clauses and phrases. Exhausted, frightened, having walked for hours, it just keeps piling on the details, making you wait, holding you in suspense until finally, at the very end, it delivers the main point. She stopped. The punch of that final clause is so powerful because of everything we had to go through to get there.
And then you've got the cumulative sentence, which does the exact opposite. It gives you the main idea right away. She stood at the window. Done. Then it just adds on these layers of detail and observation, flowing outward. It feels way more relaxed, more associative. It's almost like we're right there inside her stream of consciousness.
So, what does this all mean for us, when we're just curled up with a good book? How does knowing about this secret architecture actually change anything?
Well, it all comes back to this one powerful idea. The structure of a sentence isn't just decoration. It's not just a box to put the words in. It's actually an engine for creating meaning, emotion, and perspective. The choices a writer makes are just as important as the words they choose.
So here's my challenge to you. The next time you're reading, try to look beyond the words on the page. Don't just ask yourself, what is this about? Ask, how is this sentence built? And how is that structure making me feel right now? Because it's right there, in that secret architecture, that you'll discover a whole new layer of the story.